first sign a kid has terrible parents. I was grading papers after school when Tatiana walked into my chemistry classroom holding her backpack tight against her chest. She was one of my brightest students and always stayed after to ask questions about experiments. But today her hands were shaking as she reached into her bag and pulled out a medical syringe with a bent needle. "Can we test what's in this?" she asked quietly. My heart dropped to my stomach. Tatiana was only 14, and here she was holding what looked like drug paraphernalia. I immediately took the syringe from her hands and told her we needed to go see Mrs. Waters, the guidance counselor, right away. The walk down the hallway felt like it took forever. Tatiana kept trying to explain, but I told her to save it for Mrs. Waters. Other teachers were leaving for the day and gave us curious looks as we passed. Tatiana's eyes were filling with tears, and I had to fight the urge to comfort her. Protocol was protocol, and finding a student with a needle was serious. Mrs. Waters' office smelled like vanilla candles and had motivational posters covering every wall. She took one look at the syringe in my hand and her face went pale. She asked Tatiana to sit down and immediately started the standard questions about drug use and peer pressure. Tatiana kept shaking her head and saying it wasn't hers, but she wouldn't say whose it was. After 20 minutes of gentle questioning, Mrs. Waters called Tatiana's mother. We could hear her through the phone saying she'd be there as fast as she could. Tatiana started crying harder when she heard her mom's voice. She kept mumbling something about her mom being sick and needing help, but wouldn't elaborate. While we waited, Mrs. Waters pulled me aside and whispered that Tatiana had never been in trouble before. Her grades were perfect and she'd never even had a tardy. She wondered if maybe Tatiana was covering for a friend or boyfriend. I thought about all the times Tatiana had talked about wanting to be a doctor to help people like her mom. We heard the automatic doors at the front of the school open and the whir of an electric wheelchair. Tatiana's mother rolled in, breathing heavily from the effort of rushing. She was extremely overweight and her face was flushed red. She took one look at the syringe on Mrs. Waters' desk and her shoulders sagged in defeat. "It's mine," she said simply. Tatiana jumped up and tried to stop her from talking, but her mother held up her hand. She explained that she'd been buying medicine online from some website based in Mexico. She pulled out her phone and showed us screenshots of something called semaglutide, which she said was the same as Ozempic. The website promised miracle weight loss for a fraction of the pharmacy price. Tatiana's mom explained she'd been injecting herself twice a week for the past month. She couldn't afford real Ozempic because their insurance wouldn't cover it, and each pen cost over $1,000. The online version was only $50, but came in sketchy vials with no real instructions. Tatiana finally spoke up through her tears. She said she'd found the needle in the bathroom trash and was worried her mom was using something dangerous. She'd learned in my chemistry class about testing unknown substances and thought maybe I could help figure out if the medicine was safe. She wasn't trying to get her mom in trouble, just trying to protect her. Her mother started crying then. She talked about how she'd gained weight after hurting her back at the warehouse where she worked. The injury led to disability and barely enough money to cover rent and food. She saw how other kids treated Tatiana because of having a fat mom in a wheelchair. She just wanted to be healthy enough to see Tatiana graduate and maybe dance at her wedding one day. Mrs. Waters grabbed a tissue box and passed it around. Even I was fighting back tears listening to this woman explain how desperate she'd become. She'd tried every diet and exercise program her mobility would allow. The bootleg Ozempic felt like her last hope, even though she knew it was risky. She'd hidden it from Tatiana because she didn't want her daughter to worry. I thought about all the times Tatiana had brought lunch from home in carefully washed containers, how she never complained when other kids went on expensive field trips she couldn't afford, how she studied extra hard because she knew college scholarships were her only path forward. This brilliant girl was just trying to protect the only parent she had. Mrs. Waters made some phone calls and found a clinic that offered sliding scale payments for weight management. She also connected Tatiana's mom with a social worker who could help navigate insurance appeals for the real medication. The syringe would have to be properly disposed of, but no one was getting in trouble. As they left my classroom, Tatiana hugged her mom tight. Her mom apologized for putting her through this, but Tatiana just shook her head. "You're trying to get better for me," she said. "That's not something to be sorry about." They rolled out together with Tatiana's hand on her mom's shoulder. I was completely wrong about her mom. I hope she finds her way.